Namaste everyone, my name is Sirisha, and today let's talk about Hinduism and its diversity in terms of traditions. When we say Hinduism is diverse in its traditions, it means that Hindus do not all follow exactly the same customs and rituals. But why? But why this difference? Remember, Hindu Dharma or Hinduism has developed over thousands of years, right? It did not begin on a particular time or on a particular day or by one person as a founder. So it's not like one uniform set of customs for everyone to follow. The knowledge of Hindu Dharma was transmitted in different ways to people, right? If you take about ancient time, the knowledge from the Vedas was transmitted through Shruti, that is orally from a teacher to student. Okay, and it was preserved with great care. Alongside this, everyday customs and practices were also passed from generation to generation through families, gurus, temples, and communities. Now you can understand, right, why traditions are different from family to family, community to community, and region to region. So let's talk about why traditions differ from family to family. Let's take an example, okay? A woman from North India has got married into a family who lives in East India, whose traditions are completely different. So she may now gradually adopt some of the new traditions from her new family, while perhaps also bringing in some traditions from her own family. Right? Now, their children may then grow up with these both traditions from North India and East India. And over generations, what happens is family traditions can be passed on, adapted, and sometimes blended with new other traditions. So, migration plays a very important role here when families move from one region to other region or from one country to other country. They may preserve some traditions, adapt new traditions, or sometimes develop new ways to practice the traditions that they already know. Now you understand, right, why traditions differ from one family to other. So let's talk about why traditions differ between communities. Most of you probably are aware that in Hindu Dharma we have different sampradayas or different spiritual traditions. For example, people who follow Vaishnava tradition pray Lord Rama or Lord Vishnu. So they are the central during their worship. And people who follow Shaiva tradition, for them Shiva is central. And those who follow Shakta tradition, for them Devi or Shakti is in the center. Now, naturally, when the deity or the spiritual tradition differs, some ways of worship may differ too. Like the prayers they recite for Lord Rama are different to Lord Shiva, and they are different to Devi too. Also, the festivals they focus or they emphasize on also may differ. For example, if we take Rama, for them, Ramanavami could be the major festival. And those who follow Shaiva tradition, for them, Shivratri could be the most emphasized festival. And similarly, those who follow Shakta tradition, for them, Dashera could be the very most important festival. Then we also have local or regional deities, right? A particular deity may be very special in that particular local region or for that particular community. And then what happens is traditions develop around that particular deity over generations. Right? Sometimes what we think of simply as Hindu tradition may actually be a tradition belonging to that particular sampradaya or particular community. This doesn't mean that one tradition is more than the other tradition in Hinduism. It just shows how different communities have expressed their relationship with the divine in different ways. So now we will talk about why do traditions differ between regions. Now we know that Hindu Dharma developed across a vast geographical areas, right? Different regions had their own languages, cultures, local customs. They have different climates. Within India, North India has a different climate, South India has a different climate. Vegetation is different sometimes. Deities and the ways of life is completely different. Naturally, these influence the way people practiced and expressed their Hindu Dharma or worship God. We can see this even in the food offered to the divine. So people naturally used what was locally grown and available to them, right? As prasadam. For example, if you talk about South India, most of the prasadam or offerings would be rice based, like pulihora or pongal. Now, if we talk about North India, then it could be like dry fruits or suji halwa and so on. That's how climate, seasonal food, and the local culture influence the traditions. Now, this is very important because Hindu Dharma is just not only about worship, right? It also offers guidance on how we live our everyday lives, how we conduct ourselves, what we eat, how we relate to others, what are our duties and responsibilities, our relationship with nature, and how we live within our families and communities. So, naturally, when people's environments and ways of life differed, the way Dharma was practiced also eventually changed. Now, take Diwali for example. In many traditions, particularly in North India, Diwali is strongly associated with Rama's return to Ayodhya, while other traditions associate Diwali festival with Krishna's defeat of Narakasura. If you ponder on why the same festival can have different stories, one possibility is that sacred ideas were expressed through deities, places, narratives that were already meaningful to the local communities. Now, for example, if a local community loves Lord Krishna, then they would easily connect to a story that is related to Lord Krishna than probably that is related to some other god. That's how these stories changed, basically to make the teachings easier to people so that they can relate, remember, and pass it on to the next generation. Although the stories are different, we can find one common theme. Can you guess? The victory of Dharma over Adharma, light over darkness, good over destructive forces. This shows us how different regions and traditions could express similar dharmic ideas through different sacred stories or narratives. Now, these stories and traditions were passed down through scriptures, gurus, temples, families, and communities. Some traditions were carefully preserved, others may have adapted to local circumstances. Now, think of holding sand in your hand. Okay, much of it remains in your palm, right? But some grains gradually slip through your fingers. In a similar way, the core of the tradition may contain from generation to generation, while some of the details surrounding it may change. That's the reason it's very important to ask, is this what Hinduism says? Is it from scripture or is it from a sampradaya? Is it regional or cultural tradition? Is it from a family tradition? Now, asking these questions doesn't mean that you're rejecting Hinduism. It just means you're trying to understand the origin of the change and also validating whether it is part of Hinduism or not. Hope you found the video useful. Thank you for listening. Namaste.